Alright guys, Hayzink here, welcome back to the channel for yet another Disgaea RPG video. So, on today's video, what we're going to be doing is talking about the new characters that are coming up on the Platinum Summon, okay? So, if you haven't already, consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and commenting down below, and let me know if you're going to be summoning for either of those two characters. Obviously, they're on the same banner, so if you're going to summon for one, you're going to summon for both. Now, this is a banner that has two fan favourite characters on it, okay? And the first one we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about the boy. We're going to talk about EMIZEL, okay? The annoying little guy from Disgaea 4 who probably ends up going on to be quite a lot of people's, one of their favourite characters anyway. But at the start, this guy's annoying, okay? So, EMIZEL is the son of the former president of the Netherworld, and he wants to become president, and he is currently doing his job as Death in Disgaea 4 when you bump into him with Valvatores and Fenric. I'm trying to remember, but I think he's one of the first characters you recruit to your party. It's been a while since I played Disgaea 4, but I think he's one of the first characters that you recruit to your party. I'm not 100%, but I think he might be. Someone let me know in the comments down below if you've played Disgaea 4 a bit more recently than me, and is he one of the first characters that you recruit? I'm pretty sure you bump into him in the first chapter, so I'm going to assume that you recruit him at the end of the first chapter, which is the usual thing. But anyway, I digress. Let's move on and talk about him. So he is a bow character, which kind of surprised me, to be honest. I can't remember again what his original weapon mastery is. I thought he was fist, to be honest, but he's a bow character, and let's just see what his abilities are. So he boosts his own AoE by 50%. Which is decent. I mean, it's definitely a decent boost, especially if you're going to have things like not Braveheart. If you're going to have things like Doppelganger on him, he's going to give 50% more damage when he uses that. And depending on how you've got him set up, if you're going to run him with other bow characters like a tired Rosalind and stuff like that, she's also going to boost AoE damage. So she's going to give, he's going to work quite well on a bow team. Now again, I've mentioned before, you don't specifically have to run teams that are all the one typing, but this guy does benefit from it. He does benefit from it, okay? If we look at his NE1, he's healed by 15% if an enemy is down when a turn ends. So again, the wording on this wiki is quite weird, but I think what that's basically saying is if he kills an enemy, he will get 15% boost to his own HP. If we look at his NE5, which is called Death Magic, bow and staff wielding allies damage dealt plus 15%. That's decent. I mean, he obviously is going to boost himself, but he's going to boost the other characters on the team. And if we look at his NE7, he is a bit of a battery to the extent that he will reduce SP costs by 9% for bow and staff wielding allies. Yes, he doesn't give you SP, but he does reduce the cost of SP consumption, which obviously makes him a valuable character for people to have. So all in, I think his abilities are actually very solid indeed. We do have a lot of characters now, or at least we're slowly building towards having a lot of characters that make the bow compositions in this game a lot more desirable. I know a lot of you guys still like to run Awakened New Year Rosalind, so you can have her on your squad, and obviously we do have other bow users as well, like Bunny Seraphina, who's got Braveheart and stuff. You know what I mean? There is a few decent options now when it comes to bow users, and as the game progresses, we do get more and more. So he's definitely a character that is fairly decent, and if you like the guy, you're going to summon for him anyway. But I do think he does contribute a decent amount to bow users, and he can stand on his own. But I just think that he's someone who's going to be fairly suited to being on a bow team, you know. So let's see exactly what he does. His first skill is a single. It bestows effect on the enemy, and it's an E+ for damage, so not massive. His next one is an AoE called Grim Spectre, which is F+. Obviously, he's going to be giving himself 50% more damage with his AoE, so that's going to be quite effective. It's going to do a decent amount of damage. Then after that, if you get him to NE3, which I feel like if you get this guy, you're going to want to try and push him up to NE5, NE7 anyway. So if you get him to NE3, you've got Delta of Death. It's time for me to show my pure power. Int down by 12%. It's a quite expensive AoE, but it's decent damage. It's C+, and for an AoE, C+ damage is really, really good. But yeah, he's he's definitely decent. He's definitely decent. So next up, what we always do is we look at the skills, not the skills, we've already done that. We look at the magic spells, okay? Now this guy has quite a few different magic spells. He has Stun, which bestows paralysis effect on a target for 2 turns. That can be quite handy. I'm just going to put another random weapon on here to grind. We'll finish doing this one. Yeah, he stuns, so that's decent. He has speed boost, which again can be quite useful depending on what you're doing. However, I can sometimes find things like speed boost can be a little bit intrusive because they can get in the road of your setups, etc. They can mess up your rotations. Weapon Mastery 14 for staffs, he gets Mega Fire. At 15 he gets Mega Ice, and at 16 he gets Mega Wind, which makes him mega useful because obviously on things like Overlord's Tower you can have certain stages that are weak to things like fire or things like wind, things like water, ice, whatever. If you have one character that does all of these things, then obviously he is a bit of a Swiss Army knife when it comes to clearing stages that have specific requirements like using certain elements. So he's definitely good for that, 100%. He also has Mega Speed Boost, which greatly increases the speed of the target for 3 turns. If you were on one of those stages like I mentioned, being able to boost yourself to go again really quickly could be very beneficial. Poison is his final effect. He bestows poison effect on the target for 5 turns. So you can slowly whittle down an enemy by slipping them some poison and watching them melt away. So all in, I think this is a decent character. I really do. I think he is a character that if you pull him, you will be happy to have him on your squad. It'll give you some new options with regards to team building. Like I say, I'd probably build this guy for spells, because having that ability to, do you know what I mean, run 3 different elemental magic attacks can be very useful, because this game does at times have stages that do benefit greatly from having the correct element to play with, you know. So having one guy who can basically have a one-size-fits-all approach to that, I think is fairly good. And he also does have a fairly decent intelligence. He does have a fairly decent intelligence stat as well, so he is someone who is kind of geared towards doing magical spells, so I would definitely consider that as an option for this guy. But all in all, I do think that he is a very good unit. I think that he's worth summoning for. Again, if you watch my previous video on a different banner, maybe just don't go ham. Maybe do the first 5 summons. If you pick up this guy or Sapphire, you'll have done yourself pretty well. But anyway guys, that's the review of EMIZEL. We will have Sapphires to follow, but EMIZEL's up for now, and we'll get Sapphire out to you ASAP. Anyway, I've been Hayzink, and I'll catch you on the next Disgaea RPG video. Peace, dudes.